Okay, hello and welcome to our program on researching land records at the Oklahoma Historical Society. I am Mallory Covington, the Archival Collections Manager here at the Historical Society. And I will be talking to you about manuscript collections, film and video, searching our catalog and things. Okay, so we're going to start off with manuscripts. So manuscripts, a lot of times people think are like rough drafts of books and things, but manuscripts can also refer to unique, one-of-a-kind primary sources like correspondence, maps, documents, and things like that. So, and they can also include diaries, business records, and records from organizations. So the map that's shown here is a Clarkson map. It's kind of like a sandboard map. And on the next slide, we'll talk a little bit more about the Clarkson maps. So the Clarkson maps were created by the Oklahoma Territory Inspection Bureau, and they were started by C.T. Ingalls, who was a former fire marshal, and they operated only in Oklahoma. So they have several maps of ghost towns or towns that no longer exist. And they have way more maps of Oklahoma than say the Sanborn Map Company is because they were strictly Oklahoma. They're all hand drawn and they follow the same kind of principles. They have the color coding for the type of building and the fire risks and things like that. But they also show the population, if they had fire facilities around or if they had waterworks or things like that. That's also listed on there. And all of them have been scanned and are available on the Gateway to Oklahoma History. So this is an example of a Clarkson map on the Gateway. You'll be able to download high resolution scans of them, and you'll be able to zoom in and take a closer look at things. So I'm going to kind of go over some of the collections that we have in our archives that will help you looking at land records or looking for specific addresses or buildings or things like that. So the first one is we got the Oklahoma City Urban Renewal Authority collection, and it's an extensive collection that includes appraisal reports, publications, newsletters, and resolutions regarding urban renewal. So the appraisal reports include photographs on each of the lots. And as you can see, they also include how much the property was worth, if it was leased, and what type of building it was. And every lot was photographed, even if they were empty lots, if they were parking lots, they were also photographed. So the next one we're going to move on to is the Muriel Forsyth Cleverden collection. So she was the daughter of one of the prominent architects in Oklahoma City, and it contains documents for the cost of buildings and projects and things. And they were responsible for doing the Capitol building, some of the schools, and the Wiley Post building where the Historical Society originated at. And on this document here, you can see kind of some of the other buildings that were done by this architecture company. So another collection that we have is the Curry Ballard collection, and he was a collector of African-American historical items. It contains things like blueprints, and there's a lot of information on a lot of the all-Black towns that were in Oklahoma. So the next one is the Linda Rosser Kennedy collection. And if you're looking for information on historic neighborhoods like Nichols Hills, Heritage Hills, it has a lot of information on the history of the neighborhood, sometimes the history of the houses. And we've listed them mostly by address, so it should be pretty easy to find. But this is just an example of one of the house histories. So these are just some additional collections that we have. The Robert Roloff collection is a collection of architectural drawings, of places like the office buildings around the Capitol, which they're the white buildings that kind of look like lace. So he designed those. We have Dean Bryant Vollendorf, and all of his have been photographed and they're available on our catalog. We do have a few Bruce Goff collection, Bruce Goff materials, not a whole lot, but we do have some. And then on the next slide, I'm going to show you an example from our Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce collection. And it includes records just from almost the entirety of Oklahoma City, all the history, and there's original documents that are, they're kind of like scrapbooks. So there's a lot of one-of-a-kind materials there that you're not going to find anywhere else. So this is an example from one of their publications, which we are currently working on digitizing. So there's just all sorts of really great information in there, probably stuff that you wouldn't even find in the newspaper. So it's a really great resource if you're looking for stuff on Oklahoma City. And so now I thought I'd show you a little bit of a clip from our Oklahoma City, or no, our Oklahoma OHS film and video collection. And this is just footage of downtown Oklahoma City. So we've got things like a parade where you can see buildings in the background. And then there's some really good shots of just all sorts of buildings. You can see some construction going on here. So our film and video channel is a really great resource that maybe you kind of wouldn't think about when you're looking for images of buildings or things that we might not have in our photograph collection, but you may be able to find images of them in our film collection. Okay, so we've done a couple things to kind of help people find collections. So the first thing is we've made manuscript guides, which are done on topics, and you can see the topics that are listed there. And we're continuously adding to those topics. But when I chose out, that would probably be helpful for a lot of people doing research for, historic register nominations and things like that, is our business one, and it includes all sorts of ones like C.R. Anthony, and we have things for Sonic, and we have railroads, and there's oil companies and all sorts of things. So you may be able to find links to buildings, or if you're looking for historical context of buildings, this might be a good place to start. So some of the upcoming projects that we have, we're working to add digitized collections to the gateway to Oklahoma history. And this is going to take a while to do. It's pretty time intensive, but we are going to put Curry Ballard up there. We're going to put up Urban Renewal, and we're also going to work on putting up the unpublished portion of our map collection. And I believe Patricia is going to talk to you later about how to search the gateway. Then another project that we've just recently started is we have a bunch of boxes of floor plans from Nichols Hills. So we're working on doing an inventory of those. And then we are also in the process of processing and cataloging a enormous collection of Kingfisher land records, which includes all sorts of things, deeds, there's, mineral leases, there's all sorts of stuff. So we've done everything, I think, by legal land description on that one. So when you go to search the catalog, there are a few key things that you're going to need to find, especially if you want to request things. And this just kind of gives you an idea of how to read the record. So we'll have the collection number, which is the unique identifier for each collection. So you'll need that in order to request a collection. And then we'll also need the box number, and then the folder number. And the box number is very important because every box has a folder 1. So if you just tell me folder 1, if there's 60 boxes, I'm not gonna know which one. So make sure you have at least the 3 key pieces, which are the collection number, the box number, and the folder number. And we always appreciate if there's a location code, if you put that in there too, because that just helps us go directly to the box on the shelf and pull it for you. The also thing you'll notice on this is that in manuscripts, as opposed to a lot of the other formats, we only go down to the folder record. We don't do everything to the item level. So when you look at a collection, you'll see that, you know, folder 1 has the information on just this address, or it may be that when you get to another part, it'll say newsletters of, you know, the Urban Renewal Authority. And so you'll have to go through and look and see if the one that you want is in there. So some other tips for searching on our catalog is you want to use the asterisks for broader searches. So if you want plurals, if you want to do map versus maps, you can put the apostrophe or the asterisk, and it will help you search for everything, and you'll get more results that way. And then sometimes you have to think outside of the box for spelling of names and towns and things, because sometimes the towns have, you know, weird spellings on things, or they're misspelled in the actual record. And then sometimes we just, you know, forgot to use spell check. So just think about that as you're going through. And then sometimes you also have to use creative spelling for words like cemetery, because we're kind of notorious for putting an A where there should be an E. So if you are having trouble coming up with things, maybe swap an I and an E and see if it comes up or something like that. We are working on going through and proofreading, but there's always going to be mistakes in there somewhere. So also searching by keyword, like names, topics, events. We don't do a whole lot with putting individual names because it would be too much. So searching by topics and events, and if you do need a name, searching by last name is best. And searching by dates doesn't really work well with the archives catalog because a lot of stuff is undated, or we're working on standardizing how we put in dates. And then we also do try to put in as many addresses as we can. So if we've got mineral leases or like the Kingfisher land records, we'll put in either the land description or the actual address. So the other thing we've started doing is putting finding aids on our website. Because the way our cataloging system is, we can't email finding aids out to our patrons. So now we're working on putting them up on the catalog, and you can find those on the manuscript page on the website. They're done by alphabetical or numerical, as the first part is, but there may be links in them, but the links don't work. You have to go to the catalog to see the digitized materials. And these will also be Google searchable, which will make everything a lot easier. So the other thing that we've put on our website is a variety of indexes and databases. So I've kind of put arrows by the ones that would probably be most helpful if you're looking for businesses, buildings, or things like that. So we've got indexes to our American Indian Archives collection. The index isn't complete, it's only A through D right now. But if you're looking for a particular person, or sometimes if there's trading companies or things that operated in either Oklahoma or Indian Territory, you'll be able to find it there. And then our certificates index includes mineral leases, and it also includes land abstracts or incorporation records that we have. Then the last one that's mentioned on there is the territorial incorporation records. And those are the incorporation records for businesses, sometimes towns, not a whole lot, for everything prior to 1907. And after 1907, the rest of those records are with the Secretary of State's office, and they do have a searchable database. And there's a link on the index to the Secretary of State's page. So this is just kind of an example of our certificates index. It just shows you, I just looked under land records, and these are kind of what comes up. So we have, you know, homestead records, mineral, things like that. And it'll tell you exactly what collection it's in. And sometimes if we know where it is, it'll tell you what county. So if you're going to request materials from us right now, because of things being how they are, an appointment is needed so that we can comply with social distancing and keep everybody safe. So you'll have to contact me to make an appointment. And it's always really helpful, especially now, if you can request materials in advance so that I can have them ready for you. So that when you come in, I'm not running around trying to get your stuff while you're waiting downstairs. So you'll also need to have, as I said before, the collection number, the box and the folder number. And if you request materials that have been microfilmed, we will ask that you use the microfilm mostly to preserve the records, especially with the American Indian Archives. Those records are extremely fragile, and so we ask that you use the microfilm before we pull originals. And then when you do look at manuscript materials, you'll wear gloves, pencils only, no bags are allowed in the room. And you can photocopy materials unless otherwise noted by me that it's either too fragile or things are reference only. And we do provide the gloves in the viewing room. So this is my contact information. If you have questions, or you're looking for collections or you want to make an appointment, you can either call me or email me. And I am always happy to answer questions. All right, and I'm going to turn it over to Patricia.
Thank you, Mallory. My name is Patricia Nunes, and I'm the Published Collections Manager here at the Oklahoma Historical Society. I will be focusing on what we have in the library resources, and mostly on books, periodicals, city directories, and newspapers and photographs. Okay, so the Oklahoma Historical Society Research Center, we are open from 10 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. from Tuesday through Saturday. We are closed on Sundays and Mondays and all state holidays, and there is no charge to visit the research center. The archive materials that Mallory mentioned, they are also in the same area. So you come to the research center and you're going to be able to look at a variety of materials. Among the library resources that are most used by researchers looking for information or historical information on buildings, houses, these are the most used ones. County and town histories, family histories, census records, property records, including deeds, allotments, mortgages, historical maps, especially real property, fire insurance, city directories and phone books, historical newspapers, and historical photographs. All of these resources we have available here in the research center, and they are for all the counties in Oklahoma and also some of the states around Oklahoma. One of the ways to find the family histories, the county and town histories, the census records, the property records, and the family maps is using our online catalog. You're going to go specifically to library catalog. You're not going to be using the other options at this point. To access from home, all you have to do is type okhistory.org/catalog, and it will take you to this exact page here that you are looking at. For Sanborn maps, they have all been inventoried, but they are not on the catalog yet, except for some of the latest maps for Oklahoma City. The Sanborn maps that you are probably looking for, it's going to be in the basement, and we'll have to check and see if we have them or not for you. To use our catalog, the library catalog, it's very, similar to what Mallory has already described for the archives. And you're pretty much going to be using this screen here that we have showing. We use a lot of wildcards. For example, the asterisk will include all the variant forms, plural and singular. And also, if you're not sure if the word is spelled a certain way or a different way, if you're not sure about what letter should be, you can just put the asterisk sign and it will, retrieve for you. There is a help menu on the corner, on the very top right corner of the screen, and it will give you more information on how to print reports, on how to search in a more efficient way. But in order to look at the catalog record that you are interested, if you want to have more information about the family maps of Ellis County, you will have to click on full record, because otherwise you will not get information like call number and what is the location, because we have different locations. We have downstairs, the main floor, which is called reading room, but we also have a vault, and we also have the big storage area called closed stacks on the second floor. Once you click on full record, as I said, you will obtain the call number and the location. The closed stacks on the second floor, it's closed to the public to browse, but the material that you find, if it's in closed stacks, we will retrieve it for you. This one that we have on the screen, it's can be found downstairs in the library, and you can, or if you prefer to find it on your own, you can do so by browsing the stacks downstairs. To find city directories and phone books, it's not going to be in the online library catalog. It's going to be on our website. When they were inventoried, it was a long time ago, and because of the massive number of city directories and phone books, it was almost impossible to convert them right away to the new system when we got it a few years ago. But we are in the process of preparing them, all the Excel file where we have the city directories listed. We are in the process of preparing them to be incorporated to the library catalog, and so you will not have to check in two different places. But once you go to the website, there is a research tab, and we'll take a look at that later on. And there is a specific section called books. And on that specific page, you will find city directories and phone books, the searching boxes. To find newspapers, there are two main places. Not all of our newspapers have been digitized. We still have most of our collection on microfilm only. Our microfilm or our newspapers collection goes back to 1819, and we have it current to 2021. They will be available on microfilm, and the catalog that you can use to search from home if we have a specific newspaper title, it's the newspaper catalog that's also accessible from the same link that I provided earlier, okhistory.org/catalog. If you're looking for newspapers that have been digitized, we have a large amount of digitized newspapers, and they are available through our digital repository, which is called the Gateway to Oklahoma History. And you can access that, type in gateway.okhistory.org. The Gateway to Oklahoma History, the newspaper collection, goes as far as 1851, and there is also there are also some titles from 2018 that have already been digitized. One thing that I like to remind people, it's like, when they get frustrated that what the material they are looking for has not been digitized yet. We have something called copyright, And so because of copyright restrictions, we have a certain period of time that we cannot digitize those materials. Right now, the cutting date, it's 1927, 28. And so anything after that date might or might not be, may or may not be on public domain. Photographs is the same scenario. For photographs, if we still have them part on the archives catalog and part on the digital collections, which is on the Gateway to Oklahoma History. If you cannot find one specific image, or if you're trying to find more images of the same house or of the same building, I recommend you to check both places, okay? Because there are some collections that have been digitized, part of that collection has been digitized and put on the Gateway, but other images for that collection are not on the Gateway yet, and the only way to access them, it will be either through the archives catalog. Some of the images are on the archives catalog, and also sometimes checking the originals. But you will have to check with the archivist if looking at the original photograph, it's an option or not, because we digitize the original photographs in newspapers, in books, so the original stays preserved and only the digital copy or the digital image is used for access. These are some tips for searching the online library catalog, but they apply also to the Gateway and to the other catalogs, such as the newspapers and the archives. And Mallory has already mentioned some of them, but I decided, that it would be helpful to put them on the handout material, so to speak, so you can go back to it and check it. But again, the wildcards, very important, the asterisks, very important, and quotation marks will search for 2 words or more as a phrase. You can combine wildcard and phrase search. So you can have a school, asterisk, report, asterisk, and it will retrieve school census reports and school reports. And there is always a help section or, a help corner on both the Gateway and the online catalogs for the archives, for the library, and for the newspapers. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'm here from Tuesday to Saturday. The information is right there on the screen. Patricia Nunes is my name, 405-522-4025. And the presentation, the PowerPoint, it's concluded, but I'd like to show you how to search on the Gateway from home, because the Gateway is accessible from home, and it's a really, really amazing and helpful resource. Let's go to share here. Okay, so the first thing I would like to show you is how do you access most of the information related or concerning the Oklahoma Historical Society. For hours, for events, our website is the best place to check. On our website, okhistory.org, we have a tab, Research Center, And that's where you'll find many databases that Mallory showed you guys on her presentation. You will also find the books tab that I told you about, where you can search for city directories. Okay. And if you just enter the name of the city or town, it will give you all the years that we have available for that specific location. Same thing happens with the telephone books. So you can search for both resources on the website in the Research Center Books tab. Now the gateway. The Sanborn maps are not on the gateway yet. We have lots of Sanborn maps that are revisions and corrections, and those revisions and corrections are still under copyright protection. But what I want to show you on the Gateway to Oklahoma History is how you locate, how you use it to find newspapers and photographs, okay? Again, just scrolling all the way down, you will find the help section in about the gateway here. You can obtain more information. But let's search. Let's say that you're looking for the Catholic Sisters Home, okay? You can just hit search. And you can limit by what resource type you want. If you want photographs or if you only want newspapers. And I'm going to start with the photograph. And then on this column here, on this panel, you can narrow the, the results. We have only 5, but let's say that you have way more than 5. You might want to narrow it by county or by years or by decades. So let's see here which counties we have. So we have 3 images for Oklahoma County, 1 for Tulsa, and 1 for Washington County. Suppose that you want to see what has been printed or published on newspapers about the Catholic Sisters Home. You are not sure what is the location. It might be in Oklahoma City, it might be in Bartlesville. You can just clear the filter here and go to newspaper type. Once you get to the newspaper results only, again, you can narrow by county, by year. And so let's see here what we have for the first one, Adair County. Once you find your results, 15, you can click on the first image, if it's what you're looking for, of course. And then to go straight to the page that has the search term that you entered, just go to the left panel here, search inside, and it will show you all the locations on the text, on the pages, on the newspaper, where it has the occurrence of Catholic Sisters Home. You'll probably get, look at this, Catholic Sisters, Catholic, I want them to be searched as a single phrase, as a phrase. That's the importance of using those search terms like wildcards and the quotation marks to search this as a phrase. So what we are going to do is we are going to rephrase this search to Catholic Sisters. And I don't know if it's sisters or sister. So let's just put sister with an asterisk. and then home, enclosed in quotation marks. And if you want to narrow right away by what kind of resource you want, I have already seen what we had in photographs with Catholic Sister Home. I want to check only the newspapers. You can limit by resource type at that point too. Well, it didn't find anything. That's what happens when you are too specific on your search term. And what Mallory mentioned about doing, changing terms, trying, synonyms, trying other terms that might be related, it's very helpful and it really does make a difference. So let's try without the quotation mark. And let's see what we have in these papers. Well, you see that you can, there are different ways of searching, and you can do this many times as you want from home. You can download the results from home, and let me show you how you can download and print from home. So let's say that this is, the picture that you're looking for. If you want to download, just double click on the image and there will be options here for you to download, and then you can print. Okay. So this is, if you have any questions, please just give us a call. We are more than glad to help you. There are plenty of people at the reference desk, to people with good, knowledge about the gateway, and they can help you through that process too. Although these websites that I'm going to show you next, they are not part of our collection, they are used a lot by researchers who come to the library and cannot find what they are looking for. So let's say that you are looking for a specific Sanborn map, and we don't have 1902, let's say for Ada, but we have only 1900, and what you're looking for is 1902. I don't know, for those who have used this, the Library of Congress Sanborn Maps collection, I'm sure that you guys found so many things that you didn't even imagine that were available online already. But the Sanborn Maps collection online on the Library of Congress website, it is amazing, amazing. That's one of the places that we tell people, check it before, you give up, because there are many counties that have already been digitized by the Library of Congress, and they will, be here. Another site that it's also very important, another database, it's the Ancestry.com. Ancestry.com is available for free in, all the computers in our library. You don't have to reserve it. You just come on over, visit the library, and every desktop will have access to Ancestry.com. Why is it Ancestry.com so useful for you guys looking for information on, the history of buildings and homes? Because it has city directories, because it has some telephone books, and it's very good to complement whatever collection, whatever items we have in our collection here. If you can't find it, you can definitely check Ancestry.com. You can, there are all 50 states. You can narrow by Oklahoma, of course, by any other state. You can choose the city that you want, year, and there you go. And you can search for the name or for, the address. So you can type the address in the keyword box, or you can try, If you know the person's name, you can put first, last name in the search boxes. When doing work and on, historical properties, I always recommend people to get, to obtain a login, which is free. They do not send spam, from familysearch.com. Why? Because familysearch.com has microfilmed, and now they have digitized a lot of, so many property records from different states and counties in Oklahoma that it's very impressive, very impressive. And some of those records, we have them on microfilm here in the library, but Family Search has them too. There are some other records that we are the only ones that have, and Family Search will not have them, but you can check that on our library catalog. But Family Search, once you get the login, there is, you get access to the website. And once you get access to the website, you can just search their catalog. And let's say that you're looking for deeds in Oklahoma. Hold on. Oklahoma, Cleveland. We can search and see if the deeds for Cleveland County are already available. They have lots of other resources here for Cleveland County, land and property, guardianship. So it's not only deeds, there is way more than that. Why do I recommend that you get a login? Because only people with a login, which again is free and it doesn't make any commitment to the Family Search, as a company or as an organization, you can look at all the microfilm that they have digitized and which contain deeds. Okay, so this is very, very helpful too. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. And it was a pleasure talking to you today. Mallory, do you have anything else to say?
I don't think so. I do want to mention one thing. With the newspaper catalog on our archive, you can only use Internet Explorer. So just make sure that if you're going to look for newspapers, you use Internet Explorer. If you try it on any other browser, it will tell you you have an error.
Right. Thanks, Mallory. Yeah, very, very important. Thank you, Mallory.
Thanks.